one of my captains.
You are controlled by greater forces.
Has failure taught you nothing, General?
Wait! That serves my purpose.
Don't expect our previous to save the moment.
Seriously?
We can settle this.
Hate monsieur.
An arena fighter now.
You fight well. You're more
Time to up the stakes. Tight tethers. Entertain me. Another down. Twin terrors. Handle this. Time is until magnificent. The prize piece comes to join.
My collection.
Stand still.
Raidostar!
Grip
You
the
are
infinite. A veil of safety and security. Grant your mortality humbly.
There is only horror.
You belong!
Non-existent.
A veil of
Everlasting.
safety and security. Oh, magnificent!
Good morning, gamers. So to start, let's go over the bow. This is a typical cast on crit bow with a spell damage essence, and then you just, metacraft until you get something you're happy with. Okay, so really quickly, I just wanted to go over how to actually craft a bow like this. It's quite straightforward with a little bit of RNG involved in getting the right suffixes and stuff, but in terms of getting a playable one, it's pretty simple. So first off, you have to grab yourself a shaper bow of pretty much any kind with a fast base attack speed. I like, grove bow, thicket bow, short bow. Actual physical roll doesn't really matter at all. The crit chance doesn't matter if you're running the diamond belt. The only thing that really matters is the attack speed to make it feel a little snappy when you're going through the content. So grab yourself a shaper bow with at least item level 75. You can buy the short bow divination card, the porcupine card, which gives you a level 50 short bow, and then you can recombine that with a level 100 bow, and if it picks the short bow base, the base will then become like level 78 or 80 something, which then you can just slam a Shaper Exalt onto it if you want to get yourself a low-level Shaper bow like this. But anyways, once you get here, we're looking for this mod here, the supported gems by level 20 cast on crit, and what we're looking to combine this with is just a simple essence of spell damage. So you're looking to spam Essence of Woes, which are not very expensive. I think they're probably 5 chaos or so each. Alternatively, you can just get a Shaper Bow with this cast on crit mod on it, and then get a another Shaper Bow with the Essence mod on it. And then you can just recombinate those to try to get 2 prefixes if you so want. And then we'll remove this. So what you're looking to get out of that is just a 2-stat bow, like Cast on Crit support, and then the Essence mod of spell damage. And once you have these with no other mods, if you have another prefix, you will have to annul it or do the Beastcraft. But then what you want to do is just go to the bench here. So craft on a mod. It doesn't matter what you craft really. You can just craft on the cheapest thing. You just want to fill the prefixes. And once you do that, you will simply hit it with some exalts 2 times to get 2 more random suffixes. These do not matter. And then you go back to the bench, go on to suffixes under the crafting section, and you will go find the cannot roll attack mods. And then you'll craft that on, I believe this is 1 divine orb. So once you have this, you have 3 suffixes, with one of them being cannot roll attack mods. And then your 2 prefixes that you want. You will then hit it with a random exalt orb. I don't know if a Foulborn here is better, but those are like 10 divines or something, so it's not worth it because this doesn't cost that much to make. But then here, I'll show you here what you can actually slam. So all of the attack mods here are gone. So the Ellie, the Flat Fizz, the Socketed Bow gems. The only thing you can hit is +1 gems from the base mod pool, and Shaper Frenzy, Shaper Pen, and then like gain. This is probably the worst one. Gain Fizz is extra, but there's a pretty good chance that you hit some good mod. Damage Pen is good, and Socketed Gems is also good. I believe Socketed Gems is the best, but Pen is also absolutely fine. So you go ahead and slam it with an Exalt. And we got probably the worst one. We got Frenzy on kill. So honestly, if I rolled this, I would just do this craft again. Maybe try an annul. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But then try again, slam it. Then you get Damage Pen. Obviously not the max roll, but let's just continue for the sake of this step. So once you get your desired prefix, go back into your crafting bench and do a prefixes cannot be changed. From here you can do one of 2 things. You can either do a Veiled Chaos, or you can harvest reroll speed and then do the same thing again with prefixes can't be changed. Once you get like a 20% attack speed roll, suffixes can't be changed, Veiled Exalt, or sorry, prefixes can't be changed, Veil Exalt, hope it removes that, unveil double damage, craft, whatever you want. But for mine, what I did is I just did a Veiled Chaos here. Yeah, it's kind of unlucky you rolled attack speed, but you ideally don't do this. But the good thing is this can almost never brick your item. It's very rare to fill up your suffixes with a Veiled Chaos. But here is what you are pretty much best case scenario is just get the Veiled Suffix on there. And then after that, you can go back to the bench here. And I believe the best block is the... Where is it? It's the damage. Yeah, damage per charge. I believe these are all the same weight, and they're all in the same pool. So you just craft on damage per charge before you unveil. Hit the unveil, and then you're looking for... Kind of unfortunate here, but you're looking for just straight up double damage. Unconditional. Focus, in this case, is actually pretty nice because we have the Saboteur Ascendancy. Gives us a lot of cooldown, so I would honestly take double damage just for really tanky guys. Like 36 DD is quite insane. So once you're happy with your unveil, you just take it and go back to your bench here. Now, this is a fine way to finish, in my opinion, because right now I would just go to my bench and wherever attack speed is. I'm blind. Very blind. Oh, it's way up here. So I'll just go craft attack speed and call it a day from here. You can maybe even throw another exalt at it, see if you hit anything. Oh, great. The hardest part, honestly, is getting the spell damage with the crit. I think that takes on average like 90 essences or so. Like, I would just recommend doing a recombine craft to get the 2 prefixes, but yep, that's all. So yeah, in here, of course, is supported already by Cast on Crit. We got Crackling Lance of Disintegration along with Arc of Oscillating. And the Arc is supported by Controlled Destruction, which, you know, does affect all of the links in here, so pretty nice damage bonus from that. I think it's 25 more at level 1. And then also we have Inspiration, because the mana cost of this type of setup is astronomical. If I take this out, it's 51 mana, 32 mana per trigger, and it triggers like, I don't know how many times a second, 10? Yeah, I think it's 10 triggers a second. So absolutely insane mana cost. Putting this back is much nicer. It's about half. And I tried using Empower instead of this just for more damage, but I immediately was out of mana, and that's not good. Then Invert the Rules just to get more of our damage. We don't have much pen in the build, or sorry, we don't have much negative res in the build at all, relying entirely on penetration and inverting. And Greater Chain goes well with only the Arc of, unfortunately. There isn't really a good support that also goes with Lance and Arc, but Lance is enough on its own. It provides the big 70% shocks and more than enough. I was using double Arc for a while, like just Arc of Osk and then like a 2120 Arc, which was also pretty good. But honestly, I just like the visuals of Crackling Lance too much, so this is what I went with. And then your bow skill of choice, either Rain of Arrows or Blast Rain. So really quickly, I just wanted to go over the various bow skills that we use in this build. Of course, we have the Rain of Arrows of Saturation and the Blast Rain for single target. And I'll just show you the difference between those two. They aren't too different in terms of boss single target, but if you're doing a map, the Saturation is much better because, you know, it spreads out the arrows all around you. Whereas this one, you can see with, if I just use Crackling Lance to actually show you the triggers, you get about 4 on a single target like this. And then if you use Blast Rain, you also get 4, like per attack. So it's pretty comparable trigger-wise. It just shines when Rain of Arrows has more than one thing to spread to. If I can go ahead and find you like a big pack of mobs here. Yeah, so over here, like if you're a typical mapping scenario, you got some goats behind you. You know, the triggers continue to happen long after you're done attacking. Like, I could just be lightning warping. They're going on behind me as well, and you know, this thing shoots, I don't know how many arrows, 40, 41. So definitely better for single, because this Blast Rain will only get you 4 triggers per attack. That's just the nature of it, no matter how many guys you hit. Whereas, of course, this will get you way more. And the quiver here, just a fractured life. I literally put 1 essence on this thing. You want to hit this with Essence of Scorn, which gives global crit multi. So not only spells, but, you know, attacks, everything. So normally quivers can only roll bow crit, which does not work for this build. And then craft on Frenzy on crit. Those are always up, just a little bit more damage. And then global accuracy helps get my hit chance up, which is very important. I believe it's basically 100, unless they have some evasion. The helmet here is Asenath's Mark. This is a true classic item. Trigger a socketed spell when you attack with a bow with a cooldown. And we have Lightning Warp in here, as you saw. This thing is your main movement method, I guess. I don't really run around in this build unless I'm like in a boss fight, kind of waiting for stuff to happen. Because you can just go through the map. Every right click will teleport your guy a little bit, so Its movement, it's a little bit of damage. It doesn't do crazy, but it's like, it's enough. So definitely a very cool option. You could play without this on bosses. Like I usually take out Lightning Orb because I don't want to be doing this when I'm trying. Like I don't want to be hitting Maven and teleporting into her beams, for example. So you can take this out. You can even use a different helmet entirely, some more tank, maybe just a rare with some life, some res, you know, whatever you want. But this is the best option for mapping. It also comes with some nice spell damage and attack speed. Pretty good helmet. So in the Lightning Orb, you want to just do as much reduced duration as possible to make it, you know, expire faster. So you do Swift Affliction and less duration. And then also I got cooldown recovery support in here. I was trying that out. It's not terribly noticeable. Like you still warp around pretty quickly without it, but nothing else to put there. Because if you put another spell in here, it will alternate them based on whatever was used last, so it's not as snappy. Chest piece here, we have a very nice necrotic armor. I bought this fracture on a level like 85 base, which was a lot cheaper, and then recombined it with a level 100 armor to raise the item level of it. It does have a chance to poof your item and, you know, delete the fracture, but, you know, I think it took me like 3 or something tries to actually keep the fracture base. And then just from there, hit it with some harvest, prefix lock, roll veiled chaos. I actually hit int with a void shock, which didn't seem good at first because I don't need attributes, but the avoid shock actually helps Storm Shroud a lot. So I was pretty happy when I realized that. It let me get another suffix on my boots. Got a really lucky slam with suppress. Doesn't really matter. I'm not even close to suppress cap. And then crafted on some ES regen, which is it noticeable? I'm not sure. But yeah, we are only at, what, 25 suppress? I don't know. You could go suppress if you had better other items, but I kind of hit a damage ceiling with this character. I can't really do Ubers. They're kind of slow, and also it's pretty squishy, being very susceptible to damage over time. Anyways, in here, this is just our 5-link aura setup. We have Grace, Petrified Blood, Flesh and Stone, and Wrath, all linked to Enlighten. We are sitting at a comfy 62 mana. And for some gloves, we grabbed Fractured Accuracy, rolled it till it hit life and a res. Didn't really need anything else. Crafted on some cold res to fix our res, and then Global Accuracy and Unnerve, which is 10% increased damage from spells. In here is our Precision and Herald of Ice setup, which brings us to low life. So just Arrogance, Herald, and Precision, and then a movement skill, Frost Blink. The boots, Fractured movement speed. I gotta say, I love crafting with fractures this league, and honestly every league. But just rolled these again until I had life, any res, and then just crafted on the rest of the res. Implicits for action speed, which is nice, and then the cooldown recovery rate, which brings you to a breakpoint with the Saboteur Ascendancy. We are at 55. So 52, if you're playing this on a different Ascendancy, is what you should try to aim for. Without the boots, you are not at the breakpoint for cast on crit, and it's like, I don't know how much less damage. In the boots, we got a nice steel skin automation setup. This actually has decent uptime since the cooldown is so low. It's pretty much like up half the time. Not crazy, but it's a little bit more EHP. Also, you're pretty much bleed immune. And then mark on hit, Assassin's Mark. Now, this is probably the weakest part, is being crit capped with Diamond Shrine and also using Asmark. This has obviously a lot less value when you're not getting the base crit, but there's no real other curse I would like to use that isn't annoying to press. I wanted to keep this as low buttons as possible. There is a case for running like Sniper's Mark with a projectile spell and then abusing that with like Nimmies and stuff, but I would have to roll like a bunch of clusters differently, and yeah, it's pretty interchangeable with like what spell you want to use, to be honest. It's a good shell of cast on crit damage. But yeah, of course we're using the Diamond Shrine Belt. Probably should have led with that. This just lets you crit at all times. So you don't have to build crit chance, you don't have to do brittle or anything. It's just you are critting, which then you can abuse probably the highest damage amulet possible for Diamond Shrine, besides getting some stupid simplex. This was Volatile Vald to 258, and I was pretty happy about that. So 309 huge crit multi. I got like, yeah, 5. This is pretty much all my multi right here. For the rings, these are pretty defensive in all the slots. This is just the same ring I had for my other guy. This will probably be on every character I make for the rest of the league. Big life, big res, endurance. And the other ring is just big life, big res, -11, and more big life, big res. So these could obviously be damage slots, but for the flask, we got worms. Nice, lovely. And then just a bunch of instant garbage. The worms are actually pretty bad because I have Blood Rage. I have Blood Rage on kill, which is probably the worst mod on here. Pretty unfortunate, but it is what it is. Let's go into the tree. Let's start. We are an ostentation tree yet again, so no attribute requirements, and I don't gain any bonuses, so there's a bunch of tats. And of course we're having the extra ring. But we are a Saboteur with Perfect Crime. This is the trigger bot guys that follow me around and essentially give you 70% more damage or something, since they instead have your triggers trigger twice. And yeah, Born in the Shadows for a little bit more damage reduction from nearby enemies. Enemies are blinded. Pretty nice for stacking a lot of evasion. It's pretty rare that I get like multi-hit melee attacked or projectile shotgunned. Pretty good defensive node. And then like clockwork for the 50% cooldown. This pretty much is unskippable. You could skip Perfect Crime and then just do clockwork on the different Saboteur Ascendancy. No real third point to take. There's a case for Bomb Specialist, I guess, if you're doing an area tagged skill. It's just about 15% more damage. I was experimenting with this and like Ice Spear and stuff. That would be kind of fun if you wanted to do like a Sniper's Mark setup and do a bunch of Screen Vomit. Very nice. Maybe I'll reroll my stuff to that. But yeah, so the tree is pretty standard, I would say. It's just double clusters. Go in the middle for the Unnatural Instinct Light of Meaning combo. Most of our tats are either Chaos Res, % ES, or I believe I have like 1 Lightning Res here, and then yeah, that's about it. We don't have really any. I got Maim here. We don't have any Dex nodes at all. So no like. I guess we have 2 fire here, or two strength nodes here, but I don't think there's anything I'd rather get. Maybe fire res tattoos, but I feel like those are too expensive to justify. Pathing over, getting melding. Runecraft of the Agile for the elusive effect being increased instead of reduced, which is pretty cool. I like this Runecraft a lot. Been using it probably 3 builds so far. We're comboing that, of course, with Mistwalker from Assassin. Gain elusive on crit, increased elusive effect, and no crit damage taken while elusive. So it makes you crit immune, kind of. It's almost always up. Of course, if you're doing like some boss with immunity phase and you get crit somehow, it won't be up. But yeah, I like Mistwalker a lot. The other jewels I was considering were like Polymath, which is pretty good. So pathing over here to Pain Attunement, getting that damage. In here we got Impossible Escape, Minion Instability. This setup is pretty cool here. Pretty happy about how this turned out. So we got Ostentation on the top with a bunch of good nodes here. Here's the seed here. It's 86,600. I don't remember how much I paid for this. There's a couple divines, but well worth it. On the notables here, we got spell damage here, spell damage here, and spell damage here. So it's 240 spell damage for about 4 total points, which is pretty insane. And then also on top of that, we have a little bit of chaos res from the impossible escape, and then 80% avoid shock. So that's how we're getting our 100% avoid shock to then use Storm Shroud to become ailment immune. Also grabs us a nice node here, which is just 30% increased damage and then 30% increased lightning ailments. We're scaling a lot of lightning ailments here to try and get our shock as high as possible. Grabbing, of course, crit mastery for the increased effect of non-damaging. Pretty good wheel here. Some aura effect and reservation efficiency. Rugift of Time is pretty cool, except when you Frostblink twice into a boss mechanic, of course. But this will let you trigger, like, 20%. I think it's 20% more damage mathematically it comes out to, but it's not represented anywhere in PoE or something, so you won't really notice it, but it's pretty cool. First cluster here is Doriani's, just for our leech, and then Scintillating Idea for some pen, and there's the Storm Shroud with the Lightning Pen. Back node here doesn't matter, but I chose Prismatic Heart because I was needing that Ellie res to begin with. This is still a pretty efficient 2 clicks. And then we got a small with mana res, some life, some res, and electric presence, which gives you 50% efficiency on Wrath. If I don't have this, I can't reserve my Wrath, so yeah. And we're taking Eldritch Battery because mana costs are insane, and it would be impossible to even trigger twice on 60 mana. So grabbing this whole wheel here with the instant leech, it's pretty comfy. And also we're taking Mind Over Matter. This combos nicely with our ES that we're now forced to use for our mana purposes. So just a nice two button combo. The other cluster over here is another 8 passive lightning. We're opting to get Disorienting, scaling our lightning ailments, and then Storm Drinker in the back here give us a little bit more pen. And then here is the Forbiddens, and the medium is a non-damaging ailments with Astonishing and Overshock. This is more lightning ailment effect, also damage, and this is just more damage and more ailment effect. Like I said, we're going down to the middle to grab Unnatural and Light of Meaning. This whole section I was pretty iffy on, but I don't really know what else I would do. You'd probably go more right side and do another cluster or something, but grabbing the mana cost of skills here, which also gives us a reservation efficiency click, and this wheel is also nice. Non-damaging ailments, Ellie damage, and then this is where we get our inverted chance as well, and then grabbing some more life down here with the life mastery. And the Watcher's Eye is a evade chance and lightning pen while affected by Wrath. So this is pretty good. It's about 10% damage or something. So yep, that is the build. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys